Hello everyone, my name is Matt Visser. I'm from Schenectady, New York. I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about individuals who make a difference in the lives of others. And those individuals are the ones that I'm going to talk about today with my grandparents. And the dysfunctional early home life that I had is what brought me to eventually living with my grandparents, which lasted for about 14 years. It was a chaotic environment. There were poor eating and sleeping schedules that I had. In terms of my parents, there wasn't really much discipline, and that really created that environment in which I was not striving to be my best. And I struggled in school, and there were constant fights with my siblings, and it was just not a good situation. There was very little structure, very little discipline, and this happened through my early development, through about the age of 12 or so. And my grades, as I mentioned, suffered, and I developed disciplinary issues, where I became angry because there was no structure, if that can make any sense to you. And eventually there was a bit of a saving grace when my parents divorced, and that occurred when I was about 12 or so. I felt mixed about that because my parents, I loved my parents. They, obviously developed a close bond with them. You like to ideally see them together, but if it wasn't going to work out, it wasn't going to work out. And if that were to benefit our development eventually, as we grew older, myself and my siblings, it would be a positive thing. And that's how I viewed it. I was sad initially because I'd be separated from my siblings, and the breakup would eventually send me into the direction of my maternal grandparents, and my siblings into the direction of my biological father, who eventually married. So I was sad about that, but I was a bit relieved that I was actually heading into an environment that was going to be a bit more structured and would eventually create an environment in which I was able to develop and hone my skills and confidence. And so I was relieved at making that transition. That constant encouragement as I moved into my grandparents' home, that constant encouragement, my confidence grew, my grades improved dramatically. I was filled with hope and promise, and I was able to focus on my goals, something that I had not had an opportunity to do so while living at home with my parents. So my grandparents were a power of inspiration. Through their hard work, dedication, determination are keys to success. I graduated from high school thanks to that hard work, through that dedication, determination. I attended college. I was able to complete my education in broadcast meteorology, and I eventually was able to reach a lifelong goal of becoming a television meteorologist, which occurred in 2005. My grandparents were significant figures in my life. They were role models. They set the example through their lifelong commitment to one another and their love for me. They remain strong examples, even though they haven't been around they both passed away about 10 to 12 years ago. The wisdom they provided was indispensable, and as I worked to pursue a second career, I am reminded to strive to be the very best that I can. So I want to leave you with this overall thought that you eventually can make a difference in the lives of others, yourself, by showing encouragement, and you're never quite sure the example that you're setting for others. As I find myself going back to school, I'm setting the example for others who may be considering doing the same. So that's my thoughts on that today.